Judgment Day. We've got a whole bunch of new games to talk about today, including The Sims. Today on Judgment Day, we're getting funky to the sounds of Amplitude. We race Mercedes-Benz in World Racing. We check out The Sims on the GameCube. And in Buried Treasure, we check out City Crisis. All right, first thing we're going to talk about is The Sims from Electronic Arts and Maxis for the GameCube. What'd you think of this one?
Well, you know, here you go. I mean, here's The Sims was a great game.
Yes.
3 years ago when it came out in 2000, and now finally after 3 years we're seeing it on the GameCube.
Right.
If you have a PC and you've never played The Sims, you buy it for the PC. You don't buy it for the console. These kind of games aren't really made for the console. You know, I look at the graphics of The Sims.
Yep.
And it's in 3D.
Which is brand new. We've never been able to move the camera around like this and zoom in and do all the things that you can do with the camera.
But the reality is this game doesn't look as good 3 years later as the PC version did 3 years ago.
That's a really good argument, actually, for people that are always fighting what looks better, 2D, 3D. I mean, the 2D Sims game looks just as good, if not better, than the 3D Sims game. But video gamers on the console are more used to being able to move around in 3D space. They like to use the C-stick to move the camera around, and it made sense to bring the game into 3D. And I also enjoyed the new mode of play that they've given you in this game. Now you get this thing called
Get a Life mode.
The Get a Life mode. The developers have come up with some really clever things to sort of show you what the game is capable of. And then you actually do feel like you're progressing and earning a nice little life for yourself. It's fun.
The problem is you can't go on the internet, though, to download all the cool stuff. There's this amazing community out there based around The Sims, the PC version. You can download different skins. I download all the Marvel characters and Spider-Man and all this cool new furniture and everything. You don't have that ability.
You can't do that on the game.
You can unlock some furniture in the Get a Life mode, but again, it's not to the extent of the PC version.
No, definitely not, but they did add a lot of the best of the stuff that you can find in the PC version, so you're going to see a lot of the good things in there. And the fact that it's so easy to maneuver yourself in this game, you know, I mean,
nothing's easier than a mouse, though.
This is pretty darn easy. I think they've done a really good job of bringing that sort of design to the GameCube, and it's going to open it up to a whole bunch of new people out there.
There's nothing better, though. You call up your next-door neighbors, right?
Right.
You get the husband and wife to come over. Now, I already got this one girl to fall in love with me, so what I do is I then steal the other guy's
in the
wife.
games, by the way.
And so then I get this guy, and I lock him in the bathroom, and then I take the door out so that he can't get out of the bathroom, and then I take the toilet out, and he's peeing all over himself because he can't go anywhere.
You did this on the PC as well. You're a sick puppy, man.
Well, yeah. Hey, I'll tell you another thing I was disappointed in, is that the first thing I did was I controlled the woman and I tried to get her naked, right?
Right.
And you do this by having her take a shower. Well, this game, they got this big, ugly block that just covers the entire character. You can't squint your eyes and think.
I mean, it's a decent game, definitely worth picking up. It does feel a little bit crusty for those that have played this game before, but it's still an enjoyable game. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 7. It's about 3 years too late for the consoles.
On the positive side, we love the new 3D camera angles. The Get a Life mode is a lot of fun. And the simplified controls make it easy for anyone to play The Sims.
On the negative side, because it's not a PC game, you can't connect to the internet and download lots of cool stuff. They block out all the nudity, and although it's made the leap to 3D, the graphics still don't look as good as they did 3 years ago.
Well, since we're in the neighborhood, we thought we'd talk about a racing game that features nothing but Mercedes-Benz to race around in. This one's called World Racing. It's from TDK Mediactive for the Xbox. What'd you think?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You think anyone out there is going to actually get a game where all they can only drive is Mercedes? Isn't that kind of
I think if a
boring?
person drives a Mercedes-Benz,
Yeah.
loves their Mercedes-Benz, they're going to like a game that has lots of Mercedes-Benz.
Nothing against Mercedes, mind you.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Do you want just a game with just Mercedes-Benz in it?
Right.
I don't.
No.
Yeah.
Me either.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Okay.
But you do get 100 different Mercedes-Benz vehicles
wait, let's
in this
qualify that. It
Yeah.
says in the back of the box you get 109 models.
Right.
Now, let's actually go through some of the 109 cars. I gotta say, it's a little misleading. For example, you know, they have the E-Class and the M-Class and the C-Class and the LMNOP class and all those things.
Yeah.
And it's basically the same kind of car over and over, but you might get the 550 SLI.
Same body types.
Same exact body
type. It might
type.
have a little bit more horsepower.
But this one has power windows and air conditioning, which to me I don't really care about that much when you're just playing the game. I didn't like the graphics at all.
You didn't like the graphics in this game?
No, the lighting is too weird. You're either like
the visuals in this game are incredible. I think you're absolutely crazy, man.
You kidding me? Did we play the same game?
We did play the same game.
You played the Xbox version, right?
There's only the Xbox version.
All right, because the game I played
the game
was
looks amazing. The worlds are incredible. There's tons of really cool details going on in the game. There's choppers flying all over the place.
Yeah, but what about
sharks chasing water skiers and stuff?
What about the fact that you can drive your car just through everything?
That's weird.
Drive it through the planes.
I don't like that either.
Drive it through the people. You drive it through
I know, but there are cars that you can hit for people that want to do some damage to their vehicles. You can still do that.
Yeah, but did you notice that there's no damage really on the vehicles? You could ram into them all at 100 miles an hour and it's like nothing.
Well, you get little tiny dents, but nothing too severe. Obviously, Mercedes-Benz didn't want their cars looking too wrecked up or something in the game.
Obviously.
Another big problem with it is the whole sort of presentation around it. This game wins the award from me for the worst menu screens ever in the history of video games.
Really? In the history?
I've never...
You've seen some bad ones. Come on.
I've played probably like 3,000 games in my life. I could not figure out these bloody menus. I didn't know where I was supposed to go. They're just so pathetic. They almost ruined the whole thing for me, but they didn't. I'm still going to give this game 7 out of 10.
This is as mediocre, bland, and vanilla as it gets. I'm giving it a 5.
On the positive side, the environments are massive and there's lots of cool little details in there. You get tons of different Mercedes-Benzes.
That's Benzai.
Benz?
Benzai.
Benzai. And even though Tommy doesn't agree, I thought the graphics in this game were amazing.
On the negative side, although Vic liked the graphics, I thought they were pretty mediocre. The menu screens are absolutely horrible. And finally, there's just nothing at all special about this driving game. There's so many out there, there's no reason to get this one.
We're going to stick with this racing vibe and come right back with a look at Automodelista for PlayStation 2. Stick around.
It's a fun word to say, isn't it?
Automodelista.
Automodelista.
Automodelista. It's a beautiful sunny day. You could be outside playing some tennis. Or if you have your Game Boy Advance, you can actually be playing tennis on this thing. I'm playing Virtua Tennis. This is from Sega THQ, and if you remember, Virtua Tennis on the consoles was a very fleshed out, accurate simulation of the sport of tennis. You had all kinds of pro players in there, all kinds of extra modes. You could choose to play in singles matches or doubles matches in any combination. You could have one person against 3 computer-controlled players. You could have a couple against the computer, or you could have 2 teams of 2 playing against each other. You can do all of that stuff on the Game Boy Advance. Now, what you also had on the console was some really cool mini games in a sort of world tour mode. I've got great news. Sega and THQ actually brought the World Tour mode to the Game Boy Advance cartridge, which is awesome. Now, the way the World Tour starts off, and I got to say this is my favorite part about this cartridge, you actually get a ranked player that comes in 300th in the world, and you've got to learn all these new skills and abilities by playing these really fun little mini games. It's really actually kind of rewarding playing a game where you're actually learning things and getting better in the game as you're playing, and that's what this game delivers. Now, I got to say that I'm not that impressed with the visuals of this game. I mean, it doesn't come anywhere close to what you got on the consoles. The characters are all kind of stringy and stick-figure-y. They're not that well detailed, and their animations are a little bit choppy. And also the control kind of let me down a little bit because you don't feel that precision, you know? You're not running back and forth and snapping it back right away, you know? It feels like there's a little bit of a hesitation. You press the button and then the character reacts. You do get used to it. It does get easier, but it's not as fulfilling on a straight gameplay level as the console version of Virtua Tennis. It's not the best tennis game I've ever played on a handheld, but it's not bad at all. 7.5 out of 10.